Hello, this is Andrea from Pesado. Today we have in our studio the Bezzera Sole coffee machine. This is a beautiful heat exchange coffee machine that we were lucky enough to borrow from our friends at Coffee Machine Specialist in Brisbane. So thank you guys for giving us the machine. We got this one here. It is a heat exchange coffee machine with rotary pump. It's got a 2-liter boiler, a 1.4 heating element. So it's quite a powerful machine. It's very pretty. I really like the color of this one, and the reason why I picked this machine is because the boys offered to install a flow control. Okay, so what are we going to do today with this coffee machine? We are going to make some coffee with the machine as a stock standard, a double espresso, and then we're going to upgrade our high diffusion shower screen and high extraction basket, and then make the same espresso again. Once we've done that, we will test the total dissolved solids in the espressos that we make. So there's a tool that we use to measure how much coffee is actually being dissolved in the cup. And then we'll see which one is extracted better. Okay? In the middle of this, we're also going to have a play with the flow control, because I want to show you how to perfectly set up our shower screen. Okay, so our shower screen is meant to work with a certain flow, so we'll play around with it. We'll see what happens if there's too much flow, 2-liter flow, and all these kind of things. So let's get straight on to this. I've got today some Adore coffee. The reason why I chose Adore coffee is because I believe it's a coffee that is well-rounded, especially suited for, drinking every day. It's got a beautiful, rich taste that goes really well with milk, as well as a black coffee. It's a coffee that is roasted in Sydney, so it's widely available on the market. I thought we'll pick this one because we just want to use a coffee that is very consistent, that is good quality, and I think it would go really well with this coffee machine. It's probably something that you would really enjoy as a morning cup. What I've done, I've already dosed 18 grams of coffee in our little dosing cellars. So I'm going to use the first one to make a coffee with the standard setup, and then the second one for the high diffusion, high extraction basket. They're going to go through our grinder there. So yeah, let's get going. What we've got here is the standard setup. So the Bezzera comes with this really cool custom-made handle, and it's got a standard 18-gram basket with the spout. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pop that basket out, and I'm gonna actually use this one in our black hybrid E61. So I'm gonna match that with one of our medium high extraction basket. I choose the medium because it accommodates 18 grams really well. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead with the first one. Before we go there, okay, the machine has been on for a while. It shows 92 degrees, which is ideal, you know what I mean, for this kind of coffee, but I'm just gonna run a little bit of water, and also I'm gonna have a good play with this one. So what is this? This is a flow controller. So it can increase or decrease the amount of water that comes through. Now, when we use our high diffusion shower screen, we like to set it up so that we get about 100 grams of water in about 15 seconds, okay? That's a more or less the ideal flow. Okay, so what I want to do now, first thing, is I want to make sure that we are getting that kind of amount of water. This is actually made for you to play around with the coffee while you're making a coffee. But because we're comparing the two coffees, and it's going to be very hard to repeat that, I'm just going to set it, and then I'm just going to leave it exactly the same. Our jug there, what we want to do, we want to get about 100 grams of water in about 15 seconds. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set this up, and then just going to leave it there, you know what I mean? Now I got 100 grams there, that was about 9 seconds. So I'm gonna close that off a little bit. I'm just gonna give it another shot just to make sure that it's really important. And after, at the end of the video, I'll show you why this is so important with our shower screen. There you go. 100 in about 12, so that's pretty much good enough. I'm happy with that. Okay, let's go ahead and make a coffee. So I've pre-dosed this one. The way I usually work with this kind of coffee is I dose a little bit extra, just in case there's some that gets stuck in the grinder, or, you know what I mean, it doesn't come out. So I still use my dosing cup just to triple check that. I'm gonna go ahead and grind this. I've got 19.5, so I'm just gonna take some out. That's because I've overdosed it. Good. Okay, so first shot, using the standard Bezzera basket. Of course, when we do this kind of testing, it's very, very, very important to work really well on your pack preparation. You really want that to be, spot on. I'm using my impact gravity distributor, I'm using my WDT tool, and then I'm using my spring-loaded depth adjuster tamper just to be consistent. So I've set that one there, so it will be the same for both of the coffees. Lock that one in. Now what we're trying to achieve here is I've loaded up about 18 grams of coffee. I want to try and get 36 grams of coffee out. So 18 dry, 36 wet. I'm just going to run that. The timer is on the coffee machine, so I don't have to worry so much about starting a timer on my scale. The instructions seem pretty good, so there's a good delay there. The machine is running. We want to try and get those 36 grams of coffee out in about 30 to 35 seconds. The most important thing is that we are consistent in between the two. So this is running slightly slower, but there you go. Perfect. So we got exactly 36 grams of coffee out. They came out in 34 seconds. Now we're just going to go and put this one aside. It looked like a good shot. So I'm just going to put my shot over here. And I'm going to go ahead and change the setup of the coffee machine. So that was with the Bezzera basket, with the standard shower screen. Okay. I'm going to show you live how to change the shower screen. So usually you want your machine to be cool, okay? You don't want the machine to be hot while you do that. I'm gonna do it while the machine is hot because I'm really confident and I've done this many times. So the first thing you do, you wanna pop your other shower screen out, okay? Then you're gonna remove the diffuser that is there, okay? So we're just gonna go ahead and unscrew the diffuser out. There you go. I've got here our high diffusion kit. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in our diffuser. And then that should be tightened with the Allen key. Not too much, just finger tight is good. And then we're going to go ahead and install the shower. Okay, again, you really want to be careful with the hot machine doing these things. Ideally, you want it to be cold. Once the shower is in, I just want to make sure that the flow is good. As you can see from the shot, I'm really happy with this flow. It looks great, and I'm pretty sure it's going to do a great job. I'm going to go ahead and change the basket. Usually when you put the high extraction basket, because the metal is a bit thicker, you'll find it that it's really hard to go in there. The way I like to do it, I like to position like that and just give it a firm slap. I'm going to put that on there and I'm going to let it, obviously you also got to put in your seal, which I forgot. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my seal in there. And then you just want to lock it so that the seal stays nice and tight in there. Easy done. I'm going to leave that there that it warms up. Run a touch of water. And going to go ahead and grind my second shot. What I'm going to do now, okay, is obviously I'm going to tear my scale. I'm going to make sure that I'm dosing the same thing. Now, with the high extraction basket, okay, why we call it high extraction basket? First of all, because it's extracting more coffee. It's juicing out more flavor. How does it do that? It's got more holes. So if you have more holes there, you'll have to go finer with the grind, okay? So as a stock standard, I just go like a couple of notches finer than with the standard basket. So I've got that now on 1.2. I'm just gonna go to 9, 8.5, okay? Grinding my coffee. So I've got a little bit extra coffee in there, just like I did before. So I'm gonna tip some out. Okay, happy with that. Okay, the handle is warm by now. I'm just going to dose that into the basket. I'm using my dosing ring, WDT tool, gentle tap. I'm going to go ahead with my gravity distributor. The gravity distributor is really helpful in this kind of things because it just evens out the coffee and it gives it that gentle tap so you know that you're not going to get any channeling. Straight away, you can see how this basket accommodates the coffee so much better. Like there's just a little bit extra room, and that also helps with your extraction. You know what I mean? Like the more the coffee gets infused nicely, the more extraction you're going to get out of it. So I'm going to use the pesado cup for this one. Take my shot. Gonna go again, and we're aiming to get 36 grams of coffee out, around the 32, 33 second mark that we had before. Okay, again, some nice delay there. Shot is looking good. As you can see from this one, you got more drips and drops coming around. That's because there's less restriction in the basket. The coffee just comes out from wherever it wants. It's flowing really well. Very happy with that extraction. 34, 35, 36. This one came out a little bit faster, okay? So I should have gone a little finer. However, for the purpose of this video, we're just gonna go ahead and take the TDS reading anyway. And we're also gonna, you know what I mean, run through, now that we've made the coffee, we're gonna run through the flow of the coffee machine, okay? So the flow was exactly the same. Ideally, if you were to purchase this coffee machine, it's a really cool thing to play with the flow. Why? Because you can really slow down the pre-infusion, making sure the coffee is fully saturated, and then you can increase the flow as you extract the coffee, okay? But what is the flow? The flow is the amount of water that runs through per second. Okay, so when we made the high diffusion shower screen, not many machines have this flow function, okay? So I want to show you what happens. This is an ideal flow, so that's what we were using for the video. Now, if we were to slow down the flow, well, you're obviously getting less, okay? But once we increase the flow, what happens? The shower screen doesn't function properly. So it is very important with our shower screen, the high diffusion shower screen was made to work with a flow that is about 100 grams of water in 15 seconds. So you can check that on your machine before you purchase the screen, and this could be something that you want to be aware. For me, the ideal way to brew coffee, unless you got a device like this one, which allows you to play with it, I like to have that kind of flow, okay? So, moving forward, what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at these two coffees, and I'm going to show you how the TDS is changed between one to the other. Okay, moment of truth. What are we doing now? We are measuring the total dissolved solids that we've got in each one of the two cups we've made. Total dissolved solids means how much coffee is actually melted in the liquid water that we have pushed through the espresso, okay? So this will give us a number. Okay, so we're gonna compare the two numbers, and I'm gonna go through it, explaining you a little bit how this works. So the first one I'm gonna do is the one that we did with the standard Bezzera setup. Okay, so what you do here, you press in the button, and with the infrared, the machine is just testing the density of the water. This one is reading at 9.75. Okay, so 9.75 or 9.73. 9.75 is actually not a bad extraction. Is actually pretty good, and you would consider that, you know, quite a good number. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tip that out, and ideally, you know, you don't want any cross contamination between the two, so I've got a clean cloth here, microfiber that's come out really nice and clean. I'm going to make sure this is nice and clean, and now I'm going to go ahead with the second one that we made with our high extraction basket and the high diffusion shower screen. So when I put that there, what do we get? 11.45. Okay, now what does that mean? How is that possible that the same coffee, the same grammage, more or less the same time, this one came out higher in density? That density is how much coffee you've got in there. So if this was a 9.75 out of 12 maximum, this is an 11.33. So it means that you've got about 15 to 20% more density, more thickness, more flavor, more coffee in your coffee. So what are we doing is making ourselves a coffee. Well, with the high diffusion and high extraction, you're making yourself a coffee that has more coffee. So it means more of whatever you bought. So it will cut through the milk better. It will cut through the water better. It will have more body. So when you're making yourself a cup in the morning, if you feel like it doesn't have quite the kick when you mix it with milk, well, that's your answer right there. You would have pretty much 20% more power there. So you could make a bigger coffee that would taste exactly the same as this one with the same amount of coffee. Or you could make yourself a stronger coffee, but you're not actually putting more coffee in there, you're just extracting the coffee better. So the way we've designed this stuff is for the machine to really juice out as much as you can from what you put in there. And the better coffee you use, the more you're gonna benefit for this sort of setup. Because the more you want to extract the flavor out of it, if you get a good coffee, well, you really want to juice it as much as you can because you want to get that flavor out of it. So, you know, if you were to do this seriously, so I've done this like amateur. I've just done a coffee with this, a coffee with that, and I measured TDS. I already knew this TDS was going to come out higher because I've done this professionally before. If you were to do this in a real way, you would have to make at least 10 or 20 of these coffees and 10 or 20 of these coffees, and you would have to do it with different coffees as well, with different grinders, with different machines. We're not going to do that. We just made one and the other, and it's already showing you clearly that, you know what I mean, this was a higher percentage of extraction. I hope this video is helpful, and yeah, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.